Hello and welcome to Hoovian Espresso, and today I got something to talk about. With self-isolation and quarantine and everything, particularly given that we're on the holidays, I found myself with a lot more time for things to do, and I got bored, basically. I was skimming through the bonus content on the Series 12 Blu-ray set, and I noticed that there was this Blue Peter thing, and there was this guy who made loads of models. So I decided I would try and make some costumes for myself. I've made a couple in the last few days, and I thought, since I've got the time and there isn't anything else to do with Doctor Who to talk about, except maybe the Big Finish releases that are going up for free at the moment, but I don't know. I listened to the free one, but I didn't think too much of it. I don't know. I get that John Hyatt is a good actor, and I think he does do very well in the role, but I just didn't think there was anything particularly special about that episode, that story that the Big Finish released. But instead I thought I'd talk about this, which is my custom figure of Alpha Centauri. Now, I'm going to confess to you, I've never actually seen like a proper full story with Alpha Centauri, and I saw her in the clip at the end of Empress of Mars with Peter Capaldi, but I've never seen Curse of Peladon or Monster of Peladon. I caught the first part on Twitch, but then I had to go out because it was like midday, and I think it was lunchtime or something like that. But unfortunately, I couldn't sit and binge watch all of classic Doctor Who. So at some point, I'm sure I will watch it. I'll have to wait for, I think it's season 9 or 11 to come out before I get to see those stories for real. So I just thought I'd give a quick look at the actual custom that I made here, and then I thought I'd break down how I made it. So to start with, on the front of it, you can see the eye, you've got the tentacles, you've got the skin here. The cloak is not painted on both sides. It's actually something I maybe regret. To be honest, I think I should maybe have painted underneath as well, but I didn't have any reference pictures of what that looked like. I mean, as a custom, as it goes, I mean, it's not one of the best, but I think, particularly given that it's my first, like, proper major custom figure, I think I did quite well, to be honest. But, I mean, who am I to judge? But as you can see, there's the back. As it's not an official picture, I have not painted all the way around. There's the inside there. You can see that it's made a bit there. But when it's on display like this, you don't notice that, I think, and it looks like a nice little custom. It's quite easy to make, as I'm about to show you, and there's some nice colour. I try to sort of bring out different skin tones, different colours of yellow and green in the tentacles in particular. There is something that you might notice that is missing, which is the sort of veins on the top of the head. I didn't want to mess it up because I thought, as my first custom, it looked quite well, and I think if I tried to do them, that would look quite shoddy or a bit crap, but, you know, so I decided that I would go with this. A couple of things I might say. Again, I had to patch up the cloak there. The cloak, not the coke. So it does look a bit uneven, I will confess. But these are all things that, particularly if you try to make it yourself, you could obviously probably do better. But I'm going to break down how I made this figure and what inspired me to make it. So here is my reference picture of Alpha Centauri. We got this from the internet. It's just a basic sort of backup of what I was planning in terms of colour scheme. I thought this would be a pretty easy first custom because there's just not much that I'd have to build up with Milliput or sculpt at first. So it seemed like an ideal choice, and as I say, I found it on a Blue Peter sort of segment. You can see Peter Purvis there. I couldn't find a particularly good reference picture of the actual Alpha Centauri thing itself. Creature that this guy made for this segment, because it's on the collection Blu-ray set, and I couldn't find the clip on YouTube. I scoured everywhere to try and get a screenshot or something, but I just couldn't find it. And I guess because when I did find it, it was like you had to pay for it because it was a bonus feature on the Blu-ray set, which, I mean, who would buy that individually? I'm not gonna lie. I mean, yeah, but oh well. You can just about see it's just by Peter Purvis there. That's what I was basing this on. It's nowhere near as good as that. I mean, it was never going to be, but it's still pretty nice, I think. So here we have a loo roll, which is what I used as my base, and it's what the guy used in the sort of segment. He said, yeah, he used a loo roll to make this as a base, and it works for Alpha Centauri because she's quite tall and sort of roll shaped. She's a jammy roly poly, I guess. So I thought they would work quite well as a base to start with. So as you can see here, it's not. A lot of these pictures are gonna look a bit odd or awkward in frame because I actually shot them as portrait photographs because I shot them as if I was doing it for my art sketchbook. Because this is basically what this video is. It's kind of like practice for that. But as you can see here, I start to build up the colours of Alpha Centauri's skin. It's not completely done, there's still a lot to do. You can still see the Who Gives a Crap, which is the brand of toilet paper that I use. You're welcome, I know. But I start to build the colours there, just gradually changing from the yellow to the green, which is sort of like Alpha Centauri's sort of skin tones there, which I think kind of works. It's very effective, I think. Now here I started to sculpt the head. I first tried to do a pinch pot. Do not try and do a pinch pot because it just crumbles. Because it is made of milliput, which I know a lot of people use to make customs. And I've watched custom videos on YouTube before, and they've always recommended milliput. So I decided I'd give it a go. I used it with my pating custom, but that's entirely out of milliput. So you know, but I sculpted this head out of 2 halves of a dome, and then I merged them together. But milliput dries quite quickly, so like you don't want to do this over several days, like in the case of the head. Like if you want to get it done that day. Because otherwise it'll be dry and impossible to work with. But as you can see, there's the head. It's just a sort of dome thing, which I pushed together with my fingers and sculpted it so it's stuck together. Here I started to sculpt the eye. I used the actual eyeball is a sort of oval-like shape, which is separate and put on separately on top of it. And then on top I put some sort of noodle-like shapes, I guess, to represent the sort of eyelid, like where that sort of folds. I put 2 on the top and then 1 underneath, but it's kind of covered by the cloak, which we'll get to in a minute, on the finished product. Next here I've started to sculpt an arm here, a sort of tentacle. You're going to need 6 of these, and I'll show you a picture of all 6 of them. I basically got a sort of pyramid-like shape type thing, a sort of tall pyramid. It's not like a flat sort of pyramid, but sort of, yeah. And then I got a knife. Well, knife, I used scissors, but I mean, it's not very professional. A knife sounds better. And then I just sort of cut it from the top of the pyramid to make this sort of claw-like appearance. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It depended how fat the pyramid was. Like, you need to get the sort of, it doesn't, if you make it too thin, it won't work. And if you make it too fat, it will just look a bit weird, and you have to pinch it out slightly to get the claws to look a bit sharper. But yeah, also because it's sort of made of this sort of spring-like sort of tube-like texture on the actual prop or costume type thing, whatever you want to call it. It's got these sort of rings around it, so I got a craft thing and sort of sculpted in some lines in the same way I did for my giant maggots. I don't own any giant maggots, and I always wanted some giant maggots, so like last summer I bought some milliput and made some maggots because it was very easy, but that's not what this video is about. But I used the same sort of technique there as I did here. Now this is the cloak here, which started off as a white piece of tissue paper that came in the post with my food order. It was no, was it food order or was it Forbidden Planet? I'm a geek and I like Swedish food. Yeah, so it was either from a Swedish food delivery or a comic book delivery, whatever one. My life's a mess. But yeah, it just was plain white tissue paper, packing tissue paper, which you can get in some kind of orders sometimes, or you can buy it online, I presume. And then I sort of cut out the cloak shape, and then I sort of tried to blend the dark green with the yellow again, much like I did on the toilet roll for Alpha Centauri's body. In that same vein there, you have to be careful with this because it can easily tear because it's very thin. So you don't want to be like dunking loads and loads of really watery paint, otherwise it just won't, you'll just tear. But yeah, that's the cloak. There's all 6 of the arms there just before they've gotten painted and stuck on. That's just the 6 arms on my sort of table there where I was sculpting them. That is the finished tube body, which I painted over lots of times because, as I said, you can see the writing on it that says "Who gives a crap," and obviously Alpha Centauri does not have "Who gives a crap" tattooed on her body because the BBC would not allow it. John Pertwee having a snake tattoo was quite enough for them, so Alpha Centauri could not have "Who gives a crap" tattooed on her. But yeah, I had to go over that area particularly well to cover that up. So I mean, most loo rolls don't have writing on it. It's just because my brand is special. My special brand of toilet paper has writing on it, but you can see there the finished thing. You don't have to paint around all the loo roll, just the bit where you haven't got surrounded by the cloak, because otherwise you'd be here all day. I noticed it's easier to paint on the tissue roll because the paint spreads quicker because it's a thinner thing. But it's harder to get all the acrylic into the card on the loo roll. But that's just something I noticed. Here is the painted head. I used a sort of very pastel, almost highlighter green there. Sort of yellowy mixed in there to do that. I didn't paint the veins. You can do this, but I was scared I was going to ruin it if I did. So I didn't do it. I thought it looked nicer. It's a sort of Mike Wazowski sort of colour. And then there's the eye, which I painted white first, and then I painted a brown pupil with a black sort of dot in the centre. And I was very grateful because I thought it was going to be a pain in the arse to try and paint in the sort of reflection in the eye. But the brown paint wouldn't completely like go over the white. There was a particularly thick white area, and I couldn't get the brown to go over it. But it acts as that reflection, and fortunately I think it works quite effectively actually, so I'm kind of grateful if someone miffed at the same time, but I mean, I'll work with it. And then obviously I painted the bit green, and as you can see I've started to glue the head onto the loo roll there. I used hot glue, although be careful which hot glue gun you buy, because on another project I've been working on, the hot glue gun blew up in my face. I'm not even kidding. I was just like making this hot glue thing and it blew up in my face. It doesn't work now. My mother disclosed that she did buy a really cheap one, to be fair, but you know, that project's still hanging in the balance while I wait for the glue gun to arrive. But a new glue gun, which I'm excited about because I want to finish that project. But but yeah, as you can see, I've started glue on that. I also glue on the arms, the 6 arms, with the glue gun as well. I just wanted to take a moment to show that you may need to cut open the back of the loo roll, particularly if you make the head a particularly big head. I had to, because it was just too big for the head to fit on, so I had to slightly adjust it. But this is another, but it's going to it will get covered up by the cloak if you're lucky, and it's not particularly evident after that, particularly if you give it a thick colour. I mean, again, be careful though, because the cape might rip, but yeah, there's just a gap there just to be wary of. I then stuck on the cape with the hot glue going round the ring. I had to do this while I was sticking the head on, which is a bit awkward and fiddly, but it kind of worked, I think. But it saved having to go over it again in hot glue and wasting more hot glue, because I made a pillar out of hot glue once and felt awful about it. So now I try not to waste loads of hot glue, because that pillar I made of hot glue is a wasted lot of hot glue. But yeah. That's what it looks like when it's all stuck together, and that's when it's finished. So yeah, this is the finished product there, the Alpha Centauri custom. I just thought it was a relatively easy first custom to do if you've never done a custom before. I've never really done a custom before, so I thought this would be a nice easy one to do. And also I had the guidance of Blue Peter, and what better guidance is there out there on the internet or in the world about making things? So I thought it would be nice to make it, and I like it. I think it looks nice on my shelf with my other figures. I mean, it's not going to look like a character options figure, but it's a nice little custom to do, particularly if you're stuck indoors and you've got all this equipment at home anyway. But yeah, if I was to do this again, I'd maybe try and like make the base sort of look like on the picture. This sort of pops out. I don't know if that's just the person's feet sort of scurrying along or something, but I presume that's PVC or something that they've made that out of. But I could use it as some milliput to sort of maybe end that and also pick it up a bit and give it a base. But yeah, I've made another custom since then, so who knows if this video does well, you know, like, comment down below, or share this video. If you liked it, obviously. I mean, if you didn't like it, then oh well, but oh well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video on my first custom figure sort of figure showcase, I guess. Who knows? If this video does well, I might show you the other one and how to make this other figure that I've made today. Or the other project that I've been making with the glue gun that exploded in my face. Oh well. But yeah, we'll see. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe down below if you enjoyed this video, and goodbye.